had their meeting. That's what they decided, how things were going to be split
How it
up.
was going to work, yep.
What a shame. And so I guess they did liberate Pilsen, but they didn't liberate all
The
of
whole country,
Czechoslovakia,
yeah.
which was too bad.
Yeah. Let's see. What do you think about Czech contributions to Nebraska in general? Were they positive, negative?
I think it's positive. I think there's so many Czech people here, and they're wonderful people. I mean, they're gentle, they're sweet, and
they're stubborn. That's a good one.
Well, maybe they're stubborn. I suppose they are.
I'm stubborn.
I
have a button that says I'm not stubborn. I'm just Czech. But hey, we're stubborn not to let our traditions go
but
easy.
they're great people. I mean, they're
Yeah.
sweet. They really are gentle, and they help each other, and freedom loving. Love music. That music is a big part of the Czech people, and beer drinking. But they don't bother anybody.
No.
You know, they're just. I think it's I'm just so happy to be where Czech people are, even though they don't speak it. But it's so. I feel so at home here.
This
is my little Czechoslovakia.
Rochester. It was.
And
connections.
Czechoslovakia is in the heart of Europe, and I like to say that I came from the heart of Europe to the heart of America.
Exactly.
That's where Nebraska is.
Yep.
And all my life, because I was born overseas, I never felt like I belonged anywhere because we never owned a house. We never had what you would call a home because we rented. We didn't have enough money to buy a home, and I never felt as though I belonged anywhere until I came here. Now I know this is where I belong.
You got all your family and all your
my
adopted family.
Came from York, and he's buried in York.
Okay.
And that's where I will be. And I always wondered where I wanted to be buried, And I thought, should I be buried in Czechoslovakia, where I came from, or I wouldn't want to be buried in Illinois. That's where I grew up. So I always wondered, all my life I wondered, until I came here, and now I know where I belong. This is it.
Do you think that Czech culture and celebrating Czech heritage in Nebraska is sustainable?
I'll just say I sure hope so, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to come.
What kind of things have you noticed, just to explain for her?
Well, it's going to change. There's change constantly, and things just cannot remain the same. With all the technology that we have today, and people traveling everywhere, and families scattering, families breaking up, you just don't know. Everything used to be so different. Now we're in this technological age, and we don't know where that's going.
Here we are sending videos back to the Czech Republic.
Yeah, we just don't know where it's going to go, and things don't look very good in America right now, and they don't look anything great all over the world. It's a terrible time of upheaval all over. So we just don't know, and. There are a lot of people with Czech names here. You can look in your phone book and see a lot of Czech names, but as far as, what's going to happen, I don't know. But so far, it's been pretty good, but who knows 10, 20 years from now what it's going to be like. After some of these other, Czech people die off, and some of the Czech descendants marry into other nationalities, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Couple more questions here. Since being in Nebraska, because you moved here, you said, what year did you move to Nebraska?
I moved here at the end of 1992.
Okay. And what Czech organizations or groups or things have you been involved in since you've been here?
Well, I've been at the Czech Club, and
that's the Nebraska Czechs of Lincoln.
Nebraska Czechs of Lincoln. And sometimes I go to the Kapinski Club, the festivals. I go to York Club, Nebraska Czechs of York, for their festival. I help them with their festival. And sometimes I give a talk over there. Once a year I give a talk on something, Czech.
Have you been, the Czechoslovak?
The Czech Quarreliers. And I've been to the Czech Republic 7 times.
Czech Quarreliers, when did they start? Do you remember?
I think it was in 70, did they say 70? No, I think the Nebraska Czechs of Lincoln started in 1973 or something like that.
But Quarreliers weren't too far behind.
Yeah, the Quarreliers, they've been going about 25 years.
Okay, and then they just split up last year.
Yeah.
Then. Okay. And were you part of the Czechoslovak Society of Arts and I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
Arts
that's what it is.
Sciences.
Arts and Sciences.
There you go. Okay, and you've been. I remember.
Well, I don't hold an office or anything. I just attend once in a while.
But you attend their meetings.
And of course the Czech Language Foundation.
Czech Language.
I donate to that for the scholarships.
Yep.
I think that's about it.
Okay. And last one she has was, do you remember anything about your journey here? And I know you told us a few
I don't.
stories that you heard about it. But what are some of the little stories you heard about when you were on the ship?
Well, I was only 3, so I only know what I was told, not what I remember. And my mother told me that I somehow on the ship I got my head stuck in the railing, the staircase railing, and couldn't get it out, and a sailor had to come and saw the railing off to get my head out, and I thought he was going to cut my head off. And my brother was real funny because he was walking on the deck and he was singing a Czech song. He was 4 and a half.
What was the Czech song?
It was a song about...
you can say it. She knows Czech because that's where she's from. Yep. She lives there. She
sang, a já sám, jdu a nevím kam, když mě srdce bolí, já si zaspívám.
You said he just had his hands behind his back, and everybody thought he was so funny.
Like a little old man, walking around with his hands behind his back. It's so cute. I can picture it. I didn't see him do it. I don't remember that.
Remember it.
But I can picture it.
Did she say anything about? I mean, was the ship life hard, or she didn't really talk about it?
Never.
And so, did your dad come with your uncle, or your uncle came first? And his wife?
That was his younger brother, and he was not in the war, so he came.
Okay.
Before.
So the younger brother came first. Did he come by himself, or did his wife come?
Himself. He never married.
He didn't marry. Okay. So he came, and then who was next?
And then it was my father.
Then your father came.
And then it was my mother, her sister, my brother, and I.
Okay. And then did you say your father had a sister that was here too eventually?
Yeah.
Did she come after you all? Or?
She came. I don't know if she came after my father's brother.
Okay.
Because I think he was here first.
Okay.
And I don't know if she came with him or if she came after.
After him.
But it was his brother, my aunt Anna, and my father. Those three. And my father was one of 6 children, and 3 of them came here.
Okay. And what about
my mother was one of 6 children also, and it was just 2 children of those 6 that came.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then you said you kept in touch with your aunt.
Mm-hmm. I've always kept in touch with my relatives.
Now your cousin.
And she did too. I mean, my father's sister, she never forgot the people back home.
So she
was always sending packages.
The aunt that you used to mail, and you told me the story about her bike and everything.
Yeah.
She was your father's sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and my father's sister, as I said, never forgot the folks back home, and she was forever sending packages every single year. And after she died, in 1985, I did the same thing until the postage got so expensive that it wasn't worth it. I was finding that the foodstuffs I was sending over there, like coffee, tea, and chocolate chips and things like that, you know, that was hard to get when the communists were there, you know. I discovered that I was paying $1 for every. Well, say I spent $15 for the foodstuffs I had in a package. I had to pay $15 for postage. So it was the same, and I figured. So then I started just sending money for Christmas. When I was sending packages, I always had to send. I had to start away in October, so that it would get it there in time for Christmas. And they were always so happy to get a package, you know, because during the communists it was awful. It was terrible. They didn't have hardly anything. The shelves were empty. And I remember going with my cousin to the store, and the shelves were empty. There were a few cans on the shelves, and there was a bunch of bananas, and my cousin, well, there were maybe 4 bananas in the bunch, and one of them was spoiled. So she was going to buy it, and I said, Mazenko, you don't have to buy that spoiled one. And the clerk said, oh, yes, she does. She has to take the bunch. Boy, I was surprised at that, you know. Yeah, it was funny. Now they're able to get, you know, pretty nearly everything. So things are a lot better, but we don't know how long.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. And
oh, is this